Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to really get into the stories behind the headlines.
And today, we've got a big one. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino dropped this social media post. Just wow.
Yeah. Shock to his core, he said. It's definitely got everyone talking. So that's our mission today. Unpack this.
Exactly. We want to help you understand what's going on quickly, get the layers behind his statement.
We've looked at reports from all over Times of India, Washington Examiner, Fox News, New York Post, even the Daily Beast. Different takes.
And pulling those together gives us, hopefully, a clearer picture of why this matters so much right now.
Okay, so let's dive in. This happened Saturday, July 26th, 2025. Bongino puts out this statement.
Right, and the line that just jumped out was, "I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned." That's, heavy stuff.
Definitely not your standard bureaucratic update. What else did he say? It was a longer post, right?
Yeah, it was. He talked about commitment, his and the directors, to fighting public corruption and the, quote, political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations.
Okay, political weaponization. That phrase alone coming from him.
Huge. He said, "It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core."
Wow. And he added, "We cannot run a republic like this," then repeated the "I'll never be the same" line.
Yeah. And then he promised, righteous and proper investigations by the book, aiming for, and this is key, the truth. Not my truth or your truth.
The truth. It's such a loaded term. What does that signal?
Well, it signals an objective reality he believes he's uncovered or is uncovering. And that phrase, political weaponization, it basically implies these powerful, supposedly neutral agencies are being used for partisan reasons.
Like targeting political enemies or maybe burying investigations.
Could be either or both. The point is, for someone like him to suggest he's seen evidence of that internally, it's explosive. And he stresses the investigations are properly predicated, meaning legitimate.
So naturally, this sparked just immediate and widespread speculation, right, about what this something major could be.
Oh, absolutely. But interestingly, people close to him or his followers seemed clear he wasn't saying he was resigning.
Which just adds to the intrigue. What is he talking about then?
Well, context is everything here. This comes right after, or relatively soon after, this reported major fallout he had with Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Ah, right, over the Jeffrey Epstein case. That was apparently quite intense.
So intense that report said he was close to quitting. The Daily Beast, for instance, had this piece describing him as having awkwardly retreated mid-July, tail between his legs, basically losing a fight with Bondi over those Epstein files.
Tail between his legs. That's pretty pointed language from the Daily Beast.
It is. And they also cited White House insiders claiming President Trump was, let's say, secretly enraged at Bongino back then.
Why? Because Bongino was stirring things up about Epstein.
Apparently, yeah. Setting off what they called a MAGA meltdown around the Epstein stuff at a time Trump maybe didn't want it stirred up.
Okay, so that fallout with Bondi over Epstein is hanging in the background. And the Epstein case itself keeps evolving, doesn't it?
It really does. The administration has been engaging with Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's former associate who was convicted.
And there have been more claims about Trump's own past association with Epstein.
Yes, which Trump has denied. He tends to pivot, pointing instead to Bill Clinton's alleged visits to Epstein's island.
Right. But what's really fascinating, linking back to Bongino and Bondi, is Trump's own stance on the Epstein files.
Exactly. He campaigned in 2024 promising to release them. Big promise to his base.
But
Then, according to the Daily Beast again, a complete abrupt U-turn. He apparently started dismissing the base's interest, even reportedly calling them stupid and weak for caring about it.
whoa. From promising release to calling supporters stupid, why the change?
Well, the same report claims Attorney General Bondi told Trump back in May that his name actually repeatedly appears in the files.
Ah, okay. That would certainly complicate things, if true. So a promise, then a sharp reversal.
And it makes you wonder, right? When officials hint at big things but don't give details, and then you see these kinds of shifts, how do you interpret it?
Yeah, how do you interpret Bongino's latest post in light of all that?
Well, this is where source perspective really matters for you, the listener. The Daily Beast, seeing that reversal and the earlier humiliation, calls Bongino's post a MAGA thirst trap.
Meaning like just throwing red meat to the base, stirring up Epstein conspiracies to regain favor after the clash with Bondi.
That's their angle. Kind of cynical. Other outlets focus more on the face value, his stated shock, his commitment to fighting corruption.
So it highlights how the same vague statement can be framed very differently depending on the outlet's narrative.
Precisely. It leaves a vacuum that interpretation rushes in to fill. So you always have to ask, what's the lens here?
Good point. But this isn't just about Epstein, is it? Bongino mentioned weaponization more broadly.
Right. And his statement lands in a context where other big investigations are being re-examined. Think about the Trump-Russia investigation.
Okay, what's the connection there?
Well, newly declassified records have come out, reportedly showing how some top Obama officials pushed that whole collusion narrative back in 2016.
The one that was largely discredited later.
And the current director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has actually confirmed she referred Obama and some aides to the DOJ for potential criminal prosecution over it.
Wow, okay, that's significant. And there's more, right? Didn't something come out about the Hillary Clinton email case, too?
Yeah, around the same time, reports surfaced that the FBI apparently didn't analyze some key evidence back then.
What kind of evidence?
Things like thumb drives that supposedly contained hacked State Department data. The justification was that they were too sensitive to review at the time.
Too sensitive. Even though an internal FBI memo reportedly recommended analyzing them to assess national security risks.
Correct. So you see these patterns emerging, or at least being reported on. Narratives pushed, evidence perhaps not fully examined.
And that creates this backdrop of, well, questions about how things have been handled in the past.
Exactly. It feeds into public skepticism, for some people anyway.
Hmm.
So when Bongino talks about being shocked now, it resonates because it taps into these older controversies. It's not in isolation.
Makes sense. And Bongino himself, he hasn't been shy about speaking out before, has he?
Not at all. He's been quite public. He talked about the FBI looking into the COVID-19 origin cover-up, as he put it.
Right, and he announced those big child sex predator stings too, rescuing hundreds of kids.
Yep. And he's gone after former figures, like James Comey. He criticized Comey pretty harshly for, quote, bringing shame to the FBI again with a social media post, and for how Comey handled the Clinton email announcement back in July 2016.
So he has a track record of being, let's say, outspoken on these kinds of integrity issues.
Which, for his supporters, lends weight to his current statement. They see him as someone willing to call things out. It frames him as consistent.
But still, the vagueness is kind of frustrating, isn't it? He makes this incredibly dramatic statement.
But gives zero specifics about the actual investigation or investigations he's referencing.
Just that promise again.
Yeah.
As with any investigation, I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at truth.
Right. No timeline, no hints about the subject matter, just things are happening that might not be immediately visible.
Yet some outlets are picking up on potential implications, like the Washington Examiner.
Yeah. They hinted that this could mean criminal charges might be coming down the line, suggesting evidence is being referred to the DOJ and FBI. But again, that's interpretation based on the gravity of his words.
So, pulling this all together, when you have someone this high up using such strong yet undefined language about corruption and truth, what does it really signify for us trying to follow along?
It signifies a real test of public trust, I think. On one hand, it generates hope for accountability, that maybe something hidden is finally coming out. On the other hand, if specifics don't follow, it risks breeding cynicisms. Was it just talk? For you, the listener, it really underscores the need for critical thinking.
You mean, don't just take the dramatic statement at face value, but also don't dismiss it out of hand. Watch for the follow-through.
Exactly. Understand the context, consider the source, but wait for actual evidence. These things are complex, and the full picture rarely emerges overnight.
It's quite a situation. We started with this single cryptic social media post.
And ended up touching on Epstein, Bonnie, Trump, Obama, Clinton, past FBI controversies.
Yeah.
It really pulls a lot of threads together.
Yeah, it shows how interconnected all these issues can feel, especially when words like corruption and weaponization are thrown around at this level. It really does feel like high drama.
It absolutely does. And that brings us to a final thought, maybe something for you to chew on.
Okay.
Given everything we've discussed, the deep concerns about government integrity, the public hunger for the truth, whatever that may be, when powerful people make these charged but vague statements, what's our responsibility?
As citizens trying to stay informed.
Yeah. How do we navigate that space between legitimate concern and, unfounded speculation? And if Bongino does deliver on this promise of the truth, How might that actually reshape how we understand everything that's happened in the last few years?
That's a really big question. Definitely something to keep in mind as this story develops.
It's one we'll certainly be watching.